going, and I want to thank you for the wonderful work you do on behalf of this organization, this wonderful subcommittee from the CAPS department. What we have here this evening is I want to thank a couple more people. I want to thank George, and I want to thank Paul on behalf of the Advocates for the wonderful award that you gave us from the Cook County Crime Stoppers. I also want to thank Judge Brewer for coming here this evening and celebrating with us. Program in the city of Chicago, and if I start talking about it, I'm going to get all choked up. So I'm going to stop myself, and I'm going to turn it over to Judge Brewer. In case you don't recognize this man without his black robe on, the judge is going to do our closing statements. So, closing statements, Your Honor.
Thank you so much, Ron. It's a great pleasure to be here with you this evening. And many of you, I didn't recognize without your blue t-shirts. We'll be off there. Seeing the sea of blue. And it is a pleasure to see you all in court. And mostly just know me as a judge. But before I was appointed judge in November 2010, I did criminal defense work. I worked for the state's attorney back in the early 80s when capital programs were started. I would go around with the then state's attorney, David, to various CAPS organizations that they were forming in block clubs since the early 80s. So I really appreciate what it is that you do. Over the years, I run for office, I run for sheriff, and I run for state's attorney, which allowed me, again, to be in touch with block clubs all over the county and CAPS programs all over the county, because I learned from the early days, way back in the 80s, if you want to be successful, then you are the people to talk to, because you all are involved in what you're doing. It's just proof of that. But I'd just like to say one thing, and as I go around now, I campaigned for judge in March, won the primary, do not have any opposition to the November ballot, so I don't have to be out campaigning. But as I go around all these years, one thing that I noticed is we don't have enough young people to carry this legacy on. You put too much and you invested too much in it. And as you know today, the need for CAPS organization and block clubs and neighborhood watch organization is not decreasing, it is increasing. And we just have to have people out there that we can pass the time to who would keep doing it. And I know I've talked to the leaders of various organizations who say young people join and they just leave. And I don't know what we can do about that necessarily, but show by example. And you do show by example. I mean, you devote the time and the energy and attention, and you deserve the recognition that you get. And how do you tell people that? It should be self-evident, the need for organizations like CAP and block clubs. But for some reason, people are not gravitating to those organizations again. So I just worry about the futures of our communities over the next 10 to 15 years. So I think that's our next challenge. You know, you're good at what you do it with enthusiasm. But it'd be nice to have people that you know who feel the same way, that would embrace the principle that you embrace, and bring safety and being there to support, be an advocate for witnesses and cases and people who've been victims of crime. You know, back in the early 80s, gangs were really rampant. It was very difficult to get people to come to court. And we used to try to ad hoc get people in the neighborhood to come to court with people so they don't feel like they're standing alone, because it is a great feeling of isolation to be a witness to a crime with very, very bad people who were very bad, and to see it like formalized now. And so I really, really appreciate what you do, always have over these past 3 decades. And so it's a pleasure to be here. I want to be here. It's always a pleasure because I feel a real kinship with these type of organizations because it's just crucial, imperative. You know, you've worked all these years with the police department to do a lot. You know, it's no secret that crime overall, and I know we get big headlines, have been dropping precipitously over the last 15 years. And that's because of the work that you do. And it's a direct result of that. You know, people don't give you credit that I know that you deserve. There's a reason for that. So I just hope that we can extend our hand to other people, and like younger people, to get them involved and carry on this tradition, because it is a great and necessary tradition, and you have, you know, you've outdone yourself, you know, in doing this. And I've you know, met so many great people who do this, and they have their various reasons for participating. But we need participation in this organization. So, again, that's our challenge, and I know that you're up to the challenge, and we're going to do that. And just speaking personally as a judge, if there's any day that you want me out, and any week that you're meeting to have general concerns, I'm willing and able to be here and glad to be here to come.
Oh, we'll take you up on that.
But sometimes it's hard in court, you know, when you're there for a case to come. But if you just come down to court on days that you don't have a case there, then that's okay. But I don't mind really coming to you, because sometimes people are not going to come to court if they get off work and they're not able to come. But if you think it'd be helpful to have me here, I'm here for you. I know Judge Ryan, who since his regard to including tonight, will want to be here. Either or both of us will be here. If you let us know, we're glad to do
That would be lovely.
All right, thank you much.
We'll take you up on it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'd like to call George McDade up, the gentleman that gave us this wonderful award and this wonderful work that he does with the Crime Stoppers. We are so very grateful for what you do and for this lovely award that you've given us.
I just want to say how appreciative I am about the court advocates and the work that you do. It's really important, you know. One of the things that Crime Stoppers does, that Paul and I do specifically, I think we're a little bit different than most organizations, is on Saturdays we go out and we pass out flyers on homicide cases. And it's good to know that, you know, that's like one phase. You know, there's different phases in a crime. You know, there's a phase when the crime was committed. There's the phase when you're out there trying to get the information. Pardon me? Oh, okay. But there's the phase when you're trying to get the offender captured. You know, law enforcement is involved extremely in that one. And there's a phase where, you know, we're part of that. We try to gather information, find out who did it, and give it to the police so they can make the arrest. But when the arrest is made, you know, it's not over with. And that other phase is that phase in the court system, before the judges, before the state's attorneys, the public defenders, or the private attorneys. That's the phase where really you make the biggest impact and the difference. My hat is off to you, because you go constantly to these cases that you don't know that much about. You don't know the victims. You don't know what's going on. The offender is there. And you stand there before him, set the example, and tell him, we're not going to allow this in our community. And that's a big thing. You know, and the judges, the judge will tell you, it's a big impact when you're standing there. And it makes an impact to the attorneys. And, you know, and sets a big example for the community that we all strive at what we want to be in that community. You know, a community is, you know, what you make it, and you're really making a safe community. My hat is off to you. What we do is nothing compared to what you're standing there time and time again to help these families and these victims. It's just, I really appreciate it. You know, I really do. It's a big, big deal. And as the judge said, it's something that really, you know, get more involved. God, you guys got, what, 40-something people? Unreal. I'm with the CAPS program over on 18th District. We don't have that many people going to court advocacy. It's sad to say. You know, I do the hotel side of it, and it's really sad to say. And when I go back, one of the things I want to go back with and talk to them about is you and what you do here and how involved you are here. Because we all know the difference it makes. So that's hands down. But we got to catch what you have and then spread it to everybody else. Especially to the youth, as the judge said, and to the other CAP organizations that struggle with this. So thank you very much, and I'll stop.
My name is Mary Shoney, and I'm from the clearing community. I have been a court advocate for, I'm going to guess, maybe 10, 12 years. The reason I joined is to preserve our community. Too many people are victims, and they're afraid to go to court, afraid to be alone in court, for fear of repercussions. And with court advocates, there's no fear, because we're all together.
And how do you see your work as important? What effect does it have for the community, do you think?
It will, we hope, keep the bad guys away, or at least warn them that we're there, and if you're going to commit a crime in our community, you better be prepared to face us in court.
My name is Gerald Klingbeil. I've been in the clearing neighborhood since 1986. I'm a longtime member of the Clearing Civic League and also the Garfield Ridge Civic League. And
how long have you been a court advocate?
I've only been a court advocate about 6 months now.
Mm-hmm.
But I really find it interesting, and you see how the court system works, and you follow the cases, and you're aware of what happens in your neighborhood. And
mm-hmm. How do you think the work that you and the other court advocates do has an impact?
Well, it shows that the victims have somebody on their side, and it lets people know, not only the judges but the criminals, that somebody is watching them, and that's why they're there.
My name is Dawn Fiorini. I live in West Lawn. I've been a court advocate about 8 years. I joined it just to do something different, and I realized what a difference this does make in the community. I've met several victims just in the community and throughout the neighborhood, and they just are so grateful and appreciative for what we do. I actually met a lawyer who was actually a criminal defense lawyer, and he actually said to me, he says, "I see you guys in court, and I'm supposed to hate you guys." He says, "But I actually admire you, and my hat really goes off to you, because you guys make a difference, and I wish if I was ever a victim that you were there for me."
One thing that Barb always tells people is it's the easiest job you'll ever have.
Yes, it is.
Tell me a little bit about that.
You just go to court. We meet at a central location, and you don't even have to drive all the time. We do ask that people do drive periodically, take turns, and we sit there, and you do learn a lot about the court system. So it's very easy. You just sit there. When our case is called, we stand up in unison, and it makes a difference.
So your message to somebody who maybe sees this video and thinks, maybe I could possibly volunteer for that, but is it too much of a commitment? To how many days a month will I have to go? What would you say to that person?
Oh, you don't have to go on maybe once a month or as often as you're able to. Currently I am unemployed, and I used to only go on my days off, which was 1 or 2 days a week. And for the last year, I've been going every day that we have court. Mm-hmm. And I think everybody should give it a try, because you see, and I have seen our advocacy program evolve over the last 8 years to something that's just great.
What did it look like 8 years ago, and what does it look like today?
8 years ago, we'd only go maybe once, twice a month, and it was only a 51st for misdemeanor cases. And it has evolved from going maybe 4 times a week, 3 times a week, or 20 cases a month, and back then you would get a little bit, the judges actually, to be honest with you, some of the judges we've had back then, we've had recently, and before, the one judge used to just be writing and not really pay much attention. Now he actually takes notices, and he actually nods when we leave, as in like thanking, and you could see that difference just in the judge's
So you're helping.
reaction.
So you're helping the criminal justice system work better.
Yes, exactly.